What Needed to Be Done by Marie Joseph Charles. Copyright 2023. Published in Anthology of Love and Death, Volume 1 in 2024. They promised the machines would make life better. They promised the people would have more leisure time and a family life. They lied. What started with automated computer and car factories with only skeleton crews to man them expanded. The first indication that there was a problem came in 2023 with the first fully automated fast food restaurant. 3.1 million fast food workers in the United States quickly found themselves replaced by robotics. One person manned each restaurant, an armed security guard to prevent theft of food and cash. Soon after, baristas at chain coffee shops were muscled out by bots that could work faster, didn't need to be paid, and could produce a more consistent product from store to store. Next came the delivery drones. Why pay drivers to tour all around town and waste expensive gasoline when a robot could load product into an electronic drone with a delivery address pre-programmed? Your order could be at your door in as soon as a few hours. Checkout clerks were replaced with self-scanners. That was if you shopped in the store. Most people shopped online and had the drone deliver their groceries for the week. Not even higher skilled jobs were safe. Telemedicine was replaced with artificial intelligence. Have a video chat with an AI and facial recognition could identify your rash, mucus, or whatever else ailed you, and have a drone with appropriate medication at your door by the end of the next business day as long as you could pay. Pay. There was the problem. Without payroll costs, most businesses' profits boomed. They did not pass those savings on to the consumers. Corporate greed prevailed. Now, not only were the people who relied on subordinate labor positions out of work, they had no way to afford basic essentials. Federal unemployment payments and assistance programs were chipped away little by little. Those who were lucky enough to have a college education in fields that hadn't been replaced were not much better off. Paying jobs didn't pay well, and higher education came with a lifetime of debt. In 2023, nearly a quarter of Americans in their 30s lived with their parents. Most of the rest lived with roommates or significant others. By 2050, 82% still lived with their parents. The 2040s saw a mass American exodus as people fled to Europe in hopes of a better life. Nearly 20% of adults tried to escape across the ocean, where things were a little better. Not much, but better. This became a blessing in disguise to millions as abandoned houses and businesses gave haven to homeless, also known as fourth-class citizens. Now it is April 2056. My name is Neveah. I am riding my bike home. It is rainy, and cold puddles slash against my legs. I feel chilled to my very core. It is hard to steer over my full backpack. Stuffed with what groceries I could manage to get this week, I ride with it in my front and attempt to keep the precious cargo as dry as possible. I have a good haul. I managed to get enough synthetic meat that we have 2 meals out of it this week. I turn right onto the street of 100-year-old prefabricated houses from the 1950s. Many are losing their siding and are wrapped in tarps and other scavenged plastics. Those that don't are rental properties that are a slightly better shape only because the law requires it. Our house is mostly intact. It has all the windows, and only a small section is protected with a tarp. It is less than 1,000 square feet, but despite being small, it has 3 bedrooms. I am one of the lucky ones. I legally own my home. Nowadays, that is virtually unheard of. In the 2020s, the government allowed corporations to purchase properties for pennies on the dollar and rent them back to people at absurdly high rates. My mother, seeing what was going on, refused to sell her hard-earned home despite a multitude of offers. When she was killed a few years ago for the contents of her purse, The house and its remaining payments became mine. I ride my bicycle up the crumbling driveway and enter through the back door directly into the kitchen. I shake the water off and look to the living room as I set down my heavy bag of food on the floor and work my soggy shoes off my feet. Aiden, my life partner, is sitting on the couch. He is listening to music on the radio, the only free media entertainment left, and drawing. I smile. The images he makes with such simple tools as crayon and paper are stunning, and creating them brings him so much joy. But the world will never see them. He looks up at me and smiles. "You look like a drowned cat," he says. "Next time it rains, you can get the groceries," I retort. He stands, puts his hands on my shoulders, and kisses my forehead. I instantly feel the chill in my bones lift. "Why don't you go get changed into something warm while I put the groceries away?" he offers. I nod. This is not an argument. I am cold and tired. I stomp down the hall towards our bedroom. To the right, I pass the chicken room. I look in through the screen door. All 9 hens and 1 rooster are scratching at the wood chips on the floor. I would much rather have them outside in their pen where they belong. In the summer, we put them out for fresh air and sunlight when we can be with them to guard them. Predators are not a problem since the local government had most of the coyote population exterminated more than a decade ago. My flock is valuable, and neighbors will not hesitate to steal them. A single chicken may feed you for a day or two, but my girls are good layers, and their eggs are the primary protein source. I let them hatch a few clutches a year and sell the chicks to make ends meet. I will not overbreed them. It reduces the quality of their eggs to let them have too many clutches, and I must feed my family first. Several of the girls look up at me, and the rooster fluffs his feathers in threat. Despite the food, warmth, and safety I provide him, he is internally ungrateful. I appreciate the fact that he produces such good chicks. That and the fact that I can no longer smell him. At the end of the hall, the door to the right leads to Aiden's brother Jackson's room. He shares this space with his partner, Emily. They help relieve the burden of living expenses, so despite the fact that I do not like either of them as people, their presence is welcome. Jackson works night security at the grocery store, so he is asleep. Emily usually works around 4 in the evening to 4 in the morning. She is a waitress in the high roller room at the casino. Men with money still prefer their cocktails served with a smile and a short skirt. Even though she only makes $3 an hour, what she brings home in tips often makes me wish I too had boobs and lighter hair. I turn left into the room I share with Aiden. It's small. There's only enough space for our bed, 2 bedside tables, and a dresser. The closet door hangs open and Aiden's dirty clothes lie on the floor next to the hamper. There is a tiny house spider in the corner watching me over our There's a tiny house spider in the corner watching over our little corner of the world. The bed remains unmade, and a basket of clean laundry lays at its foot. I sigh. I find a clean pair of pajamas and a t-shirt in a broken plastic basket. I shed my wet clothes and go to the bathroom across from the chickens. I turn on the shower and step into the tub. The water is hot, steamy, and comforting. I feel the warmth move into my body and I begin to thaw. I would love to stay in here, but clean, potable water is scarce and expensive. I stay just long enough to regain feeling in my toes and nose. I rub the sliver of soap over myself, rinse, and exit the tub. As I towel my body, the smell of hot soup drifts down the hall from the kitchen. My stomach roars in indignation at my failure to realize that it is empty. Dressed, I make my way to the kitchen. I take my seat at the table as Aiden sets a steaming bowl in front of me. I cup my hands around the bowl, allowing the heat to move into my fingers. He sits to my right and smiles at me. "You survived another day at work," he says, both as a statement and a question. I work at a state-funded daycare that provides services to people in similar financial situations to my own. Children are expensive, and good daycare is around $2,500 a month. Regular people like myself cannot afford it, and because our parents cannot afford to retire, there's rarely a family to relieve the burden. The children I work with are generally accidents that families cannot afford. Class 1 and 2 citizens who can afford children but can't have them would rather undergo fertility treatments, in vitro, or a surrogate just to have a child with their genetic makeup. So those that may have been able to be adopted or not. This is where facilities like mine come in. We make sure kids are provided at least one meal per day. We have creams and ointments for rashes and sometimes bathe the children if it's clear they have no running water at home. It is exhausting and sometimes heartbreaking work, but I love what I do and I love those kids. I say, for now, I answer him. They're talking about cutting funding again. He shakes his head and looks down at his soup. What were you drawing when I came in? I ask, eager to change the subject. He smiles and finishes chewing the vegetables in his mouth. The dog I saw today, he said brightly. What kind of dog? A big black thing. I was stocking the drink machine at Walmart, and the guy had him on a bright red leash. Beautiful and so friendly. His smile faded. Hope we can get a dog someday. I choke on my soup a little. I know, honey, but it's hard to afford a dog. One bag of food is over $100. Never mind the licensing fees and taking it to the vet. I don't know if we'll ever be able to afford one. I know. He looks sullen. Maybe I can teach the rooster to play fetch. I smile at his attempt to cheer himself up. We finish our meal with a conversation about our day and sit on the couch together listening to the radio for an hour before he retires to bed. I stay up a little longer. I am reading a novel on my tablet about a woman who can speak to a demon that helps bring on revenge of those who wrong her. I love books. By choosing a book, I get to choose a different reality, a different existence than the one I have. I know my life would be much harder, but I read books from the 1990s and 2000s, before robots and artificial intelligence, and I think about how much better life was when people could afford to live and everyone had cars and food. They took it all for granted. I hear a door at the end of the hall open and close. Jackson shuffles towards me in his boxer shorts. It is 10:30 and his day is just beginning. He stops and yawns. He scratches the back of his head, further ruffling his already shaggy brown hair. Hi, he yawns as he speaks and changes to scratching his bare chest. Is there food? I nod. There's leftover soup in the fridge, I say. The yard will need to be cut when you get home, so we don't get fined. Our lawn robot is so old, it doesn't know what day of the week it is anymore, so it can't be programmed to run on a schedule. It also likes to wander off, so if you don't keep an eye on it, it could end up a few houses away before you notice there's a problem. He nods and turns into the bathroom, closing the door behind him. Upon hearing the percussion of flatulence he produces, I decide to go to bed. I close the door behind me softly. Aiden is snoring loudly, and I crawl under the covers and pull the pillow over my head to muffle the sound. It's Monday morning. The beep, beep, beep of the alarm jolts me awake. The bed is empty. Aiden left hours ago to start his day. I turn off the alarm and stretch as I lay on my back. I feel the satisfying clicks and cracks of my joints as they snap back into place. I dress and make my way to the kitchen. I can hear the television from Jackson and Emily's room. She arrived home barely an hour ago and was likely eating in her room. She and I hardly interact. She prefers to spend her alone time in their room watching the TV. Her tips are enough money that they can pay for 2 streaming services per month. Sometimes I can hear them laughing at something and I would like to watch it too. but it is theirs and they pay for it, and it doesn't feel right to try to make them share. Besides, Aiden has his art, I have my library books, and we all have the radio. On the kitchen table, there's a receipt for a funds transfer. Emma Lee has paid her share of the bills into the joint account. Next to the receipt sits 3 eggs. The girls have had a good morning, and Aiden has left me what he didn't eat. I fry my eggs, drink some orange juice, and set off to work. The sun is just trying to come up, and the sky is changing from purple to pink. The air is moist, and the ground is still wet from yesterday's rain. A block from work, an ADV, automated delivery vehicle, speeds past me in the motorized vehicle lane. It splashes the left side of my body, the cold water soaking my coat. I swear at it and display a hand gesture that the driver of a car believes is for him. He returns in kind. The building I work in is large. The top floors are office spaces for various mid-level businesses. The middle floor has several studios for dance and yoga instruction, and the ground level is leased space for people trying to make a living. In addition to our child care center, there is a jewelry store, a furniture consignment, a bakery, and a clothing reseller, among other businesses managing to hang on. I ride my bike straight up to the back door. I use my ID to open the door and roll my bike in with me. Technically, employee bicycle parking is in the underground garage. The building owners do not like the unseemly display of bicycles, indicating that there are people in the building who are poor and therefore giving the building a bad image. But most of us are poor. I don't know who they think they are fooling. They said the underground garage is to keep our bikes dry and safe, but we know better. The nicer businesses on the top 2 floors have an image to maintain, which is why they have a private lobby with an elevator that we are not allowed access to. We undesirables could hurt business. Their lobby has its own security team while no one watches the garage. Bike theft and armed robbery are a constant concern, and one of the yoga instructors was abducted by her estranged husband down there. This is why I hide my bike in the furnace room, chain it to a pipe, and put the handlebars in my book bag for good measure. I am 15 minutes early to the child care center. It operates 24 hours a day, as many parents have 2 or even 3 jobs. One little boy stayed with us for 4 days straight when his mother, having worked over 40 hours without rest, collapsed from exhaustion. It was over a day later when family member came to retrieve him. I shed my coat and hang it on a peg in our little office space. I am grateful that, though it is soaked, my sweater is mostly dry. "You look rough," I hear my friend and colleague Addison say. I turn to her. She is the picture of a morning person. Her brown hair is neat and pulled high in a ponytail. Her big opal eyes are bright and ready to start the day. Her bright yellow sweatshirt and beaming personality make her the personification of sunshine. She is my friend, and I love her, but this early in the morning, I hate her. "Come on," she says. "Let's go get some coffee before the shift starts. Nice treat." I look behind her at the queue of first shift children being dropped off as third shift children are awakened grumpily to go home. She doesn't have to ask me twice, and we go to the coffee shop on the other end of the first floor. Real coffee is expensive, and I hate to spend my friend's money frivolously. I step up to the barista bot. The AI has been given humanoid form with long blonde hair and eyes that are completely dead. I order roasted dandelion root tea, which tastes very similar to real coffee, with a shot of caffeine powder and vanilla milk. Addison orders caffeinated chicory with sugar. "Would you like a donut?" the bot asks. "No, thank you," Addison answers and inserts her credit card. The machine behind the counter whirs to life, making the drinks. "Thank you, and have a wonderful day," the barista bot says. We step to the side to allow the person behind us to order. Our drinks come down the conveyor belt and on rollers to where we receive them. I hold the wax paper cup to my lip and inhale deeply through my nostrils. It isn't real coffee, but it is caffeinated, slightly bitter, and hot. I take a big gulp and allow it to lightly scald my throat. We walk past the bakery where, through the window, we can see kneading machines working some kind of bread dough, a decorating machine piping precisely calculated colored icing onto a personalized cake, and an attendant organizing orders as they roll out various ovens. I wonder how such a small operation stays in business. Most bakeries have dozens of these machines and can fulfill hundreds of orders per day of everything from ornate wedding cakes to soft pretzels to specialty breads and even pastries. The clothing reseller is straightening a sweatshirt on a mannequin in front of the window. I think of how much Aiden would probably like it, but it looks like it would be too small for him this far away. I make a mental note to stop by after my shift and check. It's never too early to start thinking about birthday presents. We return to the child care center and clock in 2 minutes early. I finish my dandelion route and listen to the rounds from the third shift about who is staying into our shift, that the automated vacuum is on strike after sucking up some small game pieces, and the management put word out that they will be by sometime soon for observations. Great. Addison and I thank them and send them on their way. We turn and face the children. Around 40 sleepy but eager bodies ranging in age from a few weeks to 5 years are strewn around the room. "Who wants story time?" Addison calls. Around half of the children yell with excitement and run to the story corner. She loads the book into the old robot that is an adult human-sized teddy bear. He comes to life and greets the kids. They wave back. He begins to tell the story as images of his narration show on the screen on the bookshelf behind him. I begin moving the youngest children to the nursery area. 10 cribs line the walls opposite each other. These spaces are for littlest ones who cannot quite stand yet. I prefer the nursery. When I was a little girl, I dreamed of having a baby. My favorite doll's name was Angel. She had curly hair and round lips like mine. But, as with most childhood dreams, it was murdered with the onset of adulthood. There came the realization that motherhood is a lifelong expense that I can never afford. At work, at least, I get to cuddle them, care for them, educate them, and watch them grow before they venture on to grade school. For many of these children, the care that Addison and I provide are the closest thing to affection they receive. Busy parents living what essentially amounts to poverty do not have time for children that they didn't want and cannot afford. Not that I want to play favorites, but I am particularly fond of Fong. I don't know who he belongs to. A slew of people have dropped him off or picked him up, all claiming to be aunts or uncles or cousins. They always come with his key card, the plastic card with his information and password, so we release him to these strangers. As a state-operated facility, we're not supposed to ask too many questions. I have hated the few times he has left my shift. No one seems happy to see him. His retrieval is a chore that they would rather not do. Twice he has cried when he left me. Part of me wants to cry too, and I wonder if they would ever even care if I took him home with me. I don't know what makes Fong so special. He is one of the smallest babies I've ever worked with. He only weighed a little under 5 pounds when he started coming to our facility at 2 weeks old. Every day for 2 years, I have cleaned him, fed him, hugged him, and put brightly colored adhesive bandages on his boo-boos. I am uniquely attracted to him, and he is to me. I can't bear the thought of how I will manage to cope when it is his turn to move on. I get the 8 littlest children cleaned up and placed in their cribs. As I expected, they all had dirty diapers and empty tummies. I programmed the food dispenser to make a 950 milliliter of formula to be placed in bottles. Further down the line, Addison has managed to wrangle 5 toddlers, clean them, and place them in containment pen with toys and snacks. Fong comes to the edge of the pen as I walk by and I give him a hug. The story ends and the older children start to get up, some complaining that they're hungry and some pulling out toys. Addison helps me dispense the bottles to the infant by programming the robotic arms that would keep the bottle presented to the baby. no matter how much they eat by the change in weight of the bottles. We will return to burp them in a moment. We turn on the television and start passing out bowls of dry cereal to the hungry older children. This is how we spend our day. We move as efficient team between the infants and the older children. We'll hold papers, help with potty training, break up fights, provide education and entertainment, feed, wash, and repeat. We fix the robot vacuum and it works on overdrive, cleaning up the floors. If it becomes sentient, it will resign. We sneak bites of food for ourselves where we can. At 2 in the afternoon, Colton, the man from the laundry service, comes for our dirty crib linens, rags, and towels, and other assorted items while he drops off the crisp, clean ones. I smile as I watch Addison try to contain her flirting. They are around the same age, nearly 10 years my junior. He is tall with neatly cut brown hair and brown eyes. While he's not my type, I can see the appeal. Addison, like all people in their early 20s, lives with her parents so they can share the bills. I've never known her to date, and I've never heard her mention a boyfriend, but her eyes light up when Colton comes twice a week. Unfortunately, I don't think she will give him a real chance at love. She has mentioned too many times that she doesn't think real love is something that she can feel. I never understand what she means by that. At 4 o'clock, the next shift arrives and we do our rounds. Addison and I say goodbye and she heads off to her car in the garage while I get my bike. I step out into the bright pre-evening sunlight. It is unfortunately deceptively chilly despite the sun, but the beauty of the day is not lost on me as I mount my bike and begin to cut through the parking lot. A Mercedes almost hits me and sends me to the pavement. The owner of the vehicle doesn't even look up from his phone as the auto drive continues to chauffeur him to his destination. I curse and look at the rip in my pants. It will need to be patched. I go home for dinner with Aiden, read, and sleep. The next day I do it again. And the next day. And the next. On the weekend I clean, milk the chickens, and attend to the garden while Aiden is at his second job. He works for a small phone repair company, shipping questionably fixed electronics back to their owners. It is under the table at a cash-only business. It isn't ideal, but it helps with the bills. I had had a weekend job stocking garments at the Walmart, but it lost the position when they brought in an AI-equipped stocking robot. On Sunday, a truck rolls into my front yard. Jackson and Emily open the front door and start carrying boxes out to the truck. "What's going on?" I asked. "Walmart has offered me a position in employee housing. Me and Emily want to have our own space," Jackson answers. "Why haven't you said something sooner?" I demanded answers. "We didn't know how to break it to you." Emily comes up behind Jackson and puts a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "So we didn't." "So your cowardice leaves Aiden and me no time to prepare." I am fuming. I feel my face getting hot and I'm trying not to yell. "Call it what you want," she said. "This is a good thing. You should be happy for us." I screech and throw the nearest thing to me, a pillow, off the couch directly at her face. She ducks and shrugs her shoulders. "Come on, Jax. Let's load up." They must have been packing through the week while Aiden and I were at work. All of their things had been neatly boxed, and with the help of Emily's brother, who had driven the truck, and 2 moving robots to do the heavy lifting, they have their room cleared out in less than an hour. I do not say goodbye or wave as they drive off to their new lives. I am standing in the doorway of their room, wondering what we are going to do when Aiden comes home. I explain what happened. Angry, he repeatedly tries to call his brother, but his calls go unanswered. Jackson and Aiden were close only out of necessity, but never saw him doing this. Emily doesn't really seem to care for anybody, but I hadn't given her a place in my home, done her grocery shopping, kept her living space clean. This betrayal goes far deeper than money. The next morning, I vent my frustration to Addison over dandelion root tea, her treat again. She doesn't seem to understand where I'm coming from, but lends a sympathetic ear. A month goes by. Aiden and I work hard to cover the slack in the chores. Because I only work one job, I take on the brunt of the extra duties. It is a fact that I try hard not to resent Aiden for, but I hear the strain in my voice when we talk. We bicker over little things that never used to be a problem before, and I feel a new distance between us. All the extra work at home makes finding time to look for a second job difficult, but still I try. Without it, we make ends meet, but only just. What little we used to put away into savings will now have to cover the bills that Jackson and Emily so callously left us with. I interview for dozens of positions without success. Very few positions require human labor. Those subordinate labor positions that are available are competitive and often dangerous, but I must try. Every day I go to work with the child care facility. It keeps me busy in my mind from focusing on my fear for the future. Little Fong comes to me and hugs me to show me pictures he has colored during art time. I feel the little hole in my heart plug temporarily every time he comes to me. It is nearly June. The summer heat is already bearing down. I can feel it radiating from the pavement as I pedal home. I am worried. I tried to pay for groceries, but my card was declined. That has never happened. Has my identity been stolen? Did Aiden buy something without telling me? We've been so strained lately, but that's not something he would do. As I turn onto my street, I see a police vehicle in my driveway. This is not good. A bespectacled officer in a crisp black uniform and shiny gold badge steps out of the vehicle. "Are you Neveah Carter?" he asks me. "Yes," I answer. I can't hear myself speak. All I hear is the pounding of my heart in my ears. "Do you know He flips his notebook. "Aiden Poole?" "Yes, he's my SO. Shortly after 0700 hours this morning, Mr. Poole was shot in a robbery in which the perpetrators made off with his truck of food for stocking the dispensers. The GPS on the truck has been disabled. Are you aware of anyone who was following Mr. Poole or that he may have shared his route with?" "Shot?" I gasp. I think my heart stops. "Where is he? Is he okay?" My most recent information is that Mr. Poole is alive in University Hospital. Ma'am, I need you to focus and answer my questions so we can locate the stolen vehicle. The truck? What about the person who shot Aiden? If we can locate the thief, he will be brought to justice. Thief. Of course they're worried about the truck. Aiden's employer will value profit over life every time. It doesn't matter that they can write the truck on merchandise off as a lost when stolen. As long as it is missing, it hurts productivity. Aiden is replaceable. Frustrated and scared, I answer the rest of the officer's questions so that I can go to Aiden as quickly as possible. When the officer finally finishes a name line of questioning, I get a running start on my bike and pedal as hard and fast as I can. University Hospital is around 12 miles from my house, and if I ride hard, I can be there in an hour. What if the cop is wrong? What if Aiden has already died? We've been fighting, but things between us have been tense. What if we weren't able to make amends? He is my other half. I don't want to live without him, and I can't bear the idea that he has died, believing I'm angry with him or blame him in any way for the situation we're in. When I arrive at the hospital, I chain my bike to the bike rack and put the handlebars in my backpack. I take my identification, wallet, and phone out of the bag before placing it on the security scanner. I hand my ID card to the security guard before entering the body scanner. My bag is confiscated as I expected it to be. When I then get in line for the information kiosks, I bounce. I tap my foot. I try not to scream as I feel like I'm crawling out of my skin. This is agony. It is finally my turn. I insert my ID card in the kiosk and scan my finger. Finally, it offers to assist me. I type in Aiden's information. As his recognized emergency contact, it permits me the information. He is in room 432, Suite A. He had surgery and is able to accept visitors. A map of his location appears on the screen. I request a guide, and a little red drone carried by 4 propellers pop out of the top of the kiosk. On a little screen, the button displays Aiden's name as it buzzes down the hallway with me in pursuit. We get on the elevator with several other people and a few other guide drones. On the 4th floor, we exit, and I'm led through a maze of dimly lit halls. I'm just thinking about how glad I am I didn't try to find this room on my own when the drone suddenly stops. Its little screen flashes, "Have a nice day," before it zips back down the hall. I look at the room to my right. Aiden is sleeping. I approach him quietly, unsure if I may wake him. He is pale but alive. His personal effects lay on the table beside him. I touch the screen on the tablet next to him and turn it on. I tap Update Family and the screen changes. Aiden Poole, 33-year-old male, Class 3 citizen, uninsured, unemployed, gunshot wound, bullet entered caudal and lateral to left clavicle, exited medial and to the left of the scapula, negligible damage to scapular bone, transfused 2 types of O-foglobin, wounds sealed with elastic protein and grafting mesh, to be released upon settlement of payment. He's okay. He's gonna be okay. I breathe heavily with relief and feel tears burn my eyes. I reread the report 2 more times before I see it. Unemployed. I begin to shake. I take his ID from his wallet, a table, and tap it to the tablet. Aiden Neveah Poole, Class 3 citizen, male, date of birth, November 1st, 2022. Eyes, brown. Hair, brown. Address, 8018 Sanctuary Road. Emergency contact, Neveah Olivia Carter. Vehicle license, motorized. 244 transit points available. Last known employment, Turner Foods. Terminated due to failure to protect stock and dereliction of duties. Credit score, 438. Assets frozen due to outstanding medical debt. I stop reading. Assets frozen. That's why I could not use our joint card to buy food. I navigate back to the main screen on the tablet and I click View Bill. $38,258.72 appears on the screen, and the numbers steadily climb as hospitalization is charged per minute. I panic. I feel sick. What are we going to do? We can't pay this. I gently shake Aiden awake. Honey? I ask. He groans but opens his eyes. Honey, how do you feel? We need to get you out of here, I say as I try to maintain the urgency in my voice. His left arm is bound in a sling and he pushes himself up with his right. What's going on? You were shot at work. They took the food in your truck. You're in the hospital. Your bill is $40,000, and the longer you stay, the higher it will get. Are you well enough to come home? His eyes bulge and all his grogginess seems to instantly leave him. He tries to push himself out of the bed. I tap the checkout button on the tablet. It asks how we would like to pay. Under payment plans, the only option is not available due to unemployment. I look up at Aiden as he tries to dress himself with only one arm. How are we going to do this? I put in my information as the payer. The only payment option that becomes available is ZACC Pay, but the option comes with a 24% interest cost. I swallow hard as I sign the agreement with my finger. Aiden takes the bus home while I ride my bike. It was hard enough when I was looking for a second job, but now my pay will be docked and he has no full-time employment. At least there's still some money coming from the electronics repair. It isn't much and it cannot be legally reported, but it's something. Once home and Aiden is settled in, I cry myself to sleep. For the next week, I dutifully go to work while Aiden applies to every job opening he sees. My first docked paycheck is so painful to look at, and I stare out into my yard and wonder if the grass is edible. We will not be able to continue without another income for long. We have some savings to pull us through, but not much. The following Monday, there's chaos at the child care center as a woman I have never seen before is attempting to do both intake and release in the morning rush. I look over at the glass window to our office. A woman in a suit is talking to the 2 third shift girls. They both look like they may cry. I look in the other direction, and against the wall I see a person. No, not a person. Sitting in a big red chair. I cautiously walk up to it. It is a robot made to look male. It has been given bright blue eyes and blonde hair. It blinks and looks at me. "Good morning, Neveah," it says. I jump back and stifle a scream. The Storytime Bear had certainly never called me by my name. What is this thing? "What is it?" Addison comes to stand next to me. "Good morning, Addison. My name is ZACC. Nice to meet you," it says to her. "Isn't he beautiful?" An unfamiliar voice sings out from behind us. The woman in the suit comes up to us with her arms spread. Beside her, I see the third shift girls getting their things silently, looking like they may cry. "Aren't we going to do rounds?" The woman in the suit continues. "I'm Jennifer Connell. I'm this branch's corporate liaison." I felt instantly uneasy. "This is Zenith Automated Child Care system. Isn't he great?" Jennifer exclaimed. "What does he do?" Addison asks warily. "Everything. He is hardwired into the building so he can play movies, games, or read stories. He can control the TV. He can give out snacks." She gestures to a new station against the wall that looks like a row of small silos with dispensing funnels at the top. "He has the latest in facial recognition software and able to identify individual kids. He can also analyze their expressions to determine what emotion they are exhibiting. And with his 38 cameras all around the center, an AI can identify potentially dangerous behaviors. He'll never miss a thing. You won't even have to do the rounds with shifts before because ZACC here will track everything." I find her excitement disturbing. I'm right. For the next 30 days, he'll be working alongside you and getting to know the routine here and analyzing your work. At the end of the 30 days, he will make a determination on which person from each shift he will be replacing. "What?" Addison and I exclaim in unison. "You can't really expect one person to oversee 40 children alone," I say. "It won't be one person. It will be one of you and ZACC. Do you have 38 eyes watching over every camera at this facility? Because he does. Your role will be to complete the duties that he can't, including changing diapers, putting them down for naps, etc. His job is to provide the enrichment and nutrition. Children need more than enrichment and nutrition. They need affection and nurturing." I glance over at Fong as I continue my protest. That is not this facility's job to provide affection. That's why they have families. This is a state-funded facility. Our job is to keep them alive so their parents can be productive members of society until they are old enough to go to school and learn how to be productive members of society themselves. We didn't take the decision lightly. We even opted for a male automated system to ensure that children have a male figure in their life. Jennifer pats ZACC on the shoulder and smiles. "But," I began. "Ladies, trust me, we have run numerous simulations and projections to assure that this is both beneficial for you and cost-cutting for us. We even pushed back his installation by over a month so we could put him to use in test groups to evaluate his efficacy. Now, I have to be off." Jennifer looks at her phone. "Good luck to both of you and have a great day." My heart sinks into my stomach and I feel sick. I look over at Addison and she is shaking her head, staring at the robot. I look at it too. Despite being programmed to blink every 6 seconds like an average human, its eyes are cold and upsetting. Its latex face mimics expressions accurately, but they aren't realistic as the creator has intended. This thing is meant to replace one of us. We don't just change diapers. We give hugs. We kiss boo-boos. We comfort them when they're scared. We model appropriate responses to emotions. "Okay, kids, gather round." ZACC's sudden call to attention causes both Addison and me to jump. The children who can walk come over. Several hide behind our legs. Fong reaches up for me and I set him on my hip. He hugs close to my side. "My name is ZACC. I'm here to help all of you." The robot introduces itself. "Miss Addison, Miss Neveah and I are all here for you. I'm hungry, one of the nearly 5-year-olds yells. I look at the clock. By now, we are usually providing breakfast and most of the diapers are changed. Okay, Robbie, why doesn't everybody get some breakfast from the feeding station? I'll read you all a story while you eat. The robot gestures to the row of silos with its arm. Several children cautiously approach the new apparatus. Its blue plastic bowl pops out of a little window. None of the children touch it. It's okay, ZACC says. New things are scary sometimes. I look at the hungry, scared faces. Most of them are looking to me and Addison for guidance. I sigh. I weave my way through them and take the bowl. One of the silos lights up. I hold the bowl under it and cereal pours out. I hand the bowl to Robbie. Thank you, he says. Yes, thank you for demonstrating, Miss Neveah, the robot says. I try to hide the look of disdain on my face as I take Fong with me to tend to the infants. Addison looks far less concerned than I feel as she leads away 2 toddlers. Over the following month, things go from bad to worse. Aiden cannot find work. His arm is in pain so severe that over-the-counter medicines don't touch it. He feels useless despite still working off the books on the weekends. He slips into a depression that I cannot bring him out of due to my own failing mental health. I watch our savings account shrink little by little. I decide to let our hens hatch a few clutches to sell the chickens, but it decreases the eggs we have to eat. One of the hens becomes egg-bound and dies before we can help her get the egg out. I cry as I prepare her for supper. At work, things are not much better. I will grudgingly admit that the robot's assistance does make some work lighter. We are still far too busy to believe that it could replace one of us. It can identify children fighting over a toy, but it cannot stop the fight or help the kids learn how to handle disputes. It cannot potty train toddlers to the restroom. It can hug children who are upset if they come to its chair, but they prefer to seek me out. And Fong, who always comes in a mess and craves affection, wants nothing to do with him. Sometimes I feel as though Addison is being extra polite to the robot, but I decide it's my imagination. At the end of the month, I say goodbye to Addison and gather my things. As I walk past ZACC, it turns its head and its doll-like eyes to me. Have a great day, Neveah. It was nice working with you. I stop. I turn to it. What did you say? I ask. It blinks, but does not answer. I look around. The other shift has children on the other side of the room begin to sing the birthday song to one of the toddlers. You're going to recommend me for termination, aren't you? I make this statement, not a question. I am, it says simply. Why? I ask. While you are clearly the more efficient worker and the children prefer you to Miss Addison, I believe she is a better choice. Why? I repeat. Miss Addison is physically appealing, which is a more comforting observation for parents. You're picking her because she's prettier? Not only that, her age is more conducive to this line of work. You are over 30. Constantly lifting children causes wear on the human body. Miss Addison will be able to fulfill her duties longer and more effectively. Also, I feel the hostility you feel towards me will interfere with our ability to work together as a cohesive team. Miss Addison has demonstrated open friendliness and acceptance of me, which will put the children more at ease with my presence. It has been my observation that there is a mutual emotional attachment between you and many of the children, and as long as that attachment to you is present, and they see your hostility toward me, I will be unable to fulfill my role as a child care provider. I'm being fired because I'm not pretty and the children love me too much. And because you hate me. I do not wish this to be personal, but I cannot function to my full capacity as I was purchased to do so as long as you are here. Without control of my body, I lunge for it. It holds up his hands. I have 38 cameras. If you break me, they will know. I look over my shoulder at the children finishing the birthday treats the little girl's mother has brought. I feel the tears coming down my face as I rush from the center. Goodbye, Neveah, I hear it call after me. As I pedal home, I find it hard to ride. I'm shaking. My eyes are blurry with tears. What are we going to do? How are we going to live? When my unemployment is filed, they'll freeze our accounts again. I won't even be able to access what's left of our savings. I can't sell my mother's house. We'll have nowhere to live. We've both been trying to find work, but we've both failed at every turn. Then I think about Fong. He is closest thing to a son I will ever have. I am supposed to have 3 more years with him before he moves on to grade school. Who is going to snuggle him and care for him for those 3 years? Certainly not those people who claim to be his family. And Addison has never shown him any interest. What is he going to do without me? What am I going to do without him? I lose myself in panic, but I do not know for how long. I suddenly realize I am nowhere near home. I am in a nice neighborhood with 2-story houses and well-kept lawns. This is Addison's neighborhood. I have been here once before when Aiden and I were invited to a barbecue. I turn left towards the cul-de-sac and right up to her garage door. I try to pull myself together, climb the steps to her front door, and ring the bell. She answers. Neveah, what are you doing here? Are you okay? I crumble there on her front porch. Tears pour from my eyes and I recount my conversation with the robot. Please, I beg her. Please, you have to decline. You have to tell them I am a better choice. But you aren't the better choice, she said calmly. She kneels down on the ground with me. ZACC is right. You're too emotionally invested in those kids. I feel tears subside as her words sink in. Hadn't she told me before that she can't feel love? You don't feel anything for them, I ask? My heart swells as I think of Fong. No, she simply laughs. They aren't my kids, and besides, it's just a job. But it's a job I need. You don't. You live in this big house with your parents. You have help. Aiden and I have no one. I need this. She shakes her head. I'm sorry. I feel for you. I do. But I have a good life, and I'm not going to throw that away for you. Please, I whisper. Sorry, Neveah. She helps me to my feet. Maybe Aiden shouldn't have let all that food get stolen. I stare at her in disbelief. Are you really blaming him for getting shot? She shrugs. I'm just saying he worked a job that he knew was dangerous. And you knew we were going to have problems with his brother when he moved out. If you really wanted a second job, you could have had one by now. You guys' choices are the reason you're in this position.
What are some specific signs that
I'm
someone's a good
stunned.
person? 1. They wait for them to
The
vent
shock
outside of
soon
you.
gives way
2.
to
They
anger.
keep the trash with them until
How
they
dare
find
she?
3.
This spoiled idiot who has never known a struggle in her life has passed judgment on my existence? If you become a class 4, let me know which soup kitchen you frequent and I'll make sure to bring you something good for Christmas. She says this with full sincerity. She is not mocking or being condescending. She truly believes that providing a meal a year as charity is doing her part. If I lose everything, it will be your fault. And you think a can of soup at Christmas will make up for it? I scream at her. My fault. ZACC chose me fair and square. You should have been nicer to him. It's a piece of equipment. But he chose me. You don't even care about the job. No. But my apathy allows me to keep it. Your empathy will cost you everything. I do not know if I hit her or if I shoved her. I watched her go backwards over the edge of the porch and I hear her head thud against the edge of the bottom step. She is silent and her eyes are frozen in permanent expression of disbelief as blood pools and stains the concrete walkway around her head. I frantically look around, but I see no one. Most Class 2 people are still at work this time of day. I look back at her. Do I leave her here? Do I hide her? No, I replay the last few minutes in my head. She felt nothing. Nothing for me, her work, or even the children. But without her, my job is secure. I can take care of Aiden and myself until we're back on our feet. I can be with Fong. I look at the doorbell camera. They will know what happened. They will know it was me. But what will it show? Just an accident. Surely it will only show that she fell and hit her head. I call the emergency line and ask for an ambulance. I see the medics attempt to revive her while a cop asks me questions. Why I, a Class 3 citizen in a Class 2 neighborhood? How well did I know the victim? What were we arguing about? I begin to worry that he will not believe it was an accident as he continues his line of questioning for what feels like ages before he finally seems satisfied and I breathe. I see the coroner arrive and load the body on a gurney. What I once saw as a friend I now see for what she really was, a cold, unfeeling automaton. She was no more human than ZACC. As I mount my bike and ride toward home, I realize that I have just taken a life. I should be distraught, but instead I feel an unsettling sense of calm. I did what needed to be done to secure my family, and for the first time in months, I am at peace.